Hello, this is my Brave family. My name is Lauren Hope. I participated in This Is My Brave as a storyteller in Arlington, Virginia in 2018. And last year, I produced a virtual This Is My Brave show in my hometown, Hampton Roads. I'm so happy to be with you. I am your brand new BraveTV host, and I'll be with you for the remainder of the year, talking to other Brave alumni, getting their lived experience, and I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to chop it up with the other Brave alum and bring you their stories and experiences. BraveTV was born during the pandemic to bring stories of hope right to your homes each month. It allows us to shine a light on our amazing Brave alum and give them a platform to share their stories, experiences, and offer support and resources. We know that connection and community matters so much, especially right now. This month, we're going to be discussing the International Overdose Awareness Day and recovery at large. International Overdose Awareness Day is at the end of the month every year, August 31st. It's the world's largest annual campaign to end overdoses, remember those who overdosed without stigma, and acknowledge the grief of family and friends who have lost people to overdoses. This movement started in 2001 and has grown globally. And the purpose is to spark conversations around overdose prevention and remember those whose lives were lost, and spark conversations about drug policy. Here to chat with me today about International Overdose Awareness Day are two Brave alum who are going to share their lived experience with us. I'm bringing them into the room right now. Here we are, slowly coming in here. So excited to be with you guys today. We're on gallery view. Don't you love this? It feels like we're on Hollywood Squares. So with me today is Brave alum Isaac Sandidge. Did I say your name right?
You did, yes.
Thank you. And Ty Cardaci. I wanted to let you know a little bit about these two gentlemen. Isaac is a mental health first aid project coordinator and has a heart for volunteerism and service. We are Facebook friends, and I'm always so inspired by how you give of your time and your story. Isaac was in the This Is My Brave St. Louis show. So welcome, Isaac.
Excited to be here.
Ty Cardaci, he was in our first ever Hampton Roads show virtually. Look at him wearing that storytelling shirt. All right.
I know it'd work good in the shot somehow.
No, I love it. Ty is a jack of all trades. He is a speaker, an advocate, a comedian, and I've seen him live. He brings great passion to storytelling. Again, he was in the Hampton Roads show last year. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would love for us to just we're gonna do this Hollywood Squares moment. We're gonna ping pong back and forth and talk about International Overdose Awareness Day. I also just wanted to give a little factoid that I found pretty unsettling about overdose awareness, that, we lose thousands of people to overdose every year. And so it's important that we have these conversations. So first off,
93,000 people, I believe, in 2020 was the,
oh, wow.
Yeah, fatal overdoses, preventable overdoses, but fatal.
And I'm a peer recovery specialist, as you are also, Ty?
Yes, certified
peer recovery specialist. And so peer recovery specialists are people who have a lived experience of mental illness and or substance use disorder. And we use that experience, strength, and hope to help others. And so, and then Isaac, you doing the training you do and the volunteerism you do, I think we have such a wealth of knowledge and experience here. So first, I wanted to check in with you all. Isaac, how is life? Tell us a little bit about what you do outside of This Is My Brave and how you're doing.
Oh my gosh, well, life is great. It's just living the dream here, working remotely, doing a lot of the work. One of the things I've always been passionate about is mental health first aid, and I'm teaching those courses. And so I'm actually a national trainer. I'm a train the trainer in the program. I also teach the adult curriculum for mental health first aid and youth curriculum for mental health first aid as well. So it's a lot like CPR first aid. So it teaches you how to kind of recognize some of those signs and symptoms and how to step in and provide that help. Just be a better friend, spouse, neighbor, person, community member in general. So I've been doing a lot this last year over the pandemic. Well, I guess what is it, 18 months, something. Pandemic time just gets away from you. Teaching a lot of the courses. And so it's just been something I really love doing. Teach a lot of those. I've actually got to teach some folks from This Is My Brave. So I was super excited about that as well. Had a class with some of the staff there. I've just been doing that and hanging out with my family. I got 3 daughters and a wife and a couple of dogs. You may see them or hear them at some point because that's the life of working at home. So yeah, it's been going great.
That's awesome. I also really love and appreciate how much volunteerism you do. And you always have these really catchy, amazing t-shirts to kind of rally around a cause. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I work a lot with the Overnight Warming Center of Alton in Alton, Illinois. 3 years ago, we launched, we recognized that folks were dying of exposure during the cold months and they didn't have a place to go overnight. And so a group of just community members got together and launched it. And I showed up to the meeting and I fell in love with it. And so the last three winters, we've been providing overnight shelter to folks during the coldest nights of the year. And we've been leading that. And I've been working with them a lot. I sell like t-shirts because I use that funds to support the mental health first aid classes. We teach all of our volunteers, certify them in mental health first aid. As we know that there's a lot of mental health challenges amongst folks that are experiencing homelessness. And it's been a lot of fun. I've met some amazing people, made some new friends I wouldn't usually probably have ever thought about before. And it's just been a really wonderful community.
I appreciate you. I have experienced homelessness and I understand how challenging winter months can be. So I really, really appreciate you. So Ty Cardaci, no, thank you so much. What is new with you, comedian, speaker extraordinaire? Tell me what's going on in your world.
Extraordinary. I've been going through a lot of transition. I just relocated my kind of home base to Arkansas, sort of central in the hopes of touring more. So I went through this purge, getting rid of like 75% of my belongings and donating, and that felt really good. Been reading a lot of St. Francis, Joyful Art of Poverty. But I recently got certified as a peer recovery specialist. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to translate to a big move back to Atlanta, Georgia, my a state, a city I felt really connected with, and eager to get back there as a peer specialist and comedian and actor and advocate. But I've got a couple speaking gigs coming up in Little Rock, Arkansas. September is National Recovery Month. So I have an event on the 7th tonight. After this airs, I'm going to be speaking in North Little Rock. So sharing my experience, strength, and jokes there. But mainly just kind of getting my tour van, tiny house, Sprinter, road ready. I'll be looking for sticks and brick once I'm out there. But
you know what?
I love the freedom of travel. It's
I
a
must
metaphor
tell
for freedom.
Yeah. And the Brave family that Ty has this really cool van that he lives out of. And I'm not, he travels.
It's cool.
But it's the coolest thing. Like he has so much freedom.
A little bit of stigma.
Yeah, no, he lives, from what I understand, really minimally. And this allows you to travel and to connect. And I just think it's so
I'm a
cool.
maximalist, actually. People think it's like, if you're a minimalist, you live in a van. Like, I've never seen a traveler with a 7-ton backpack, so it's a little bit, it's definitely clamping at worst. Yeah.
No, and just a window into Ty. Ty actually was in the circus.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. And so you just have this rich array of experiences. And this is what I love about This Is My Brave. It is connected to me to people, as I'm sure you all, all over the world with the social media platform, and you get to see so many different slices of life. And that's just the beauty of it. So again, I'm just so honored to be here with you guys. So International Overdose Awareness Month is on the 31st of this month. And it's a time that we recognize those who've lost their lives to overdose, and the families who are left behind. And so I wanted to ask both of you, while it's a hard thing to talk about, why is it important that we pause and look at this? And Isaac, you can go first.
Okay, I want to jump in case Ty was going to jump in. I just think that, kind of being involved in the field in mental health, we see a lot of stigma anyways around mental illness and those sorts of challenges. But just kind of working with my work with folks around in the communities, it's like there's this added layer of additional stigma when it comes to substance use and substance use challenges. And I don't understand that, because it's just like anything else. It's an issue and it's a challenge. And I don't think anybody ever goes in to it and says, you know what, I really want to be addicted and have this run my life. As they kind of start, it's usually as the result of like things like trauma and other things that are going on. And so I think it's important that we talk about it and we kind of shed some light on some of the statistics. And I really appreciate Ty offering up some of those statistics at the beginning, because that's how we can just inform the public and let folks know that like people are dying, and it's regardless of why, we're losing people, and it's atrocious. And so we need to be doing whatever we can to just help others and extend that hand out, the helping hand, to say, you know what, I'm here for you, I support you, I want to help you. We've all gone through challenges in our own lives, and I think that if nothing else, we can empathize with having to overcome some sort of struggle, even if it's not the same sort of struggle. So it's important that we get this awareness out there and we start busting down that additional layer of stigma on top of just all the other stigmas that are surrounding mental health challenges. People need help sometimes, and it's hard to overcome.
Yeah, and that's why I so appreciate both of you being open about your experiences prior to sobriety and after. And Ty, interesting thing, you're a comedian, and I've seen your sets. And so Ty kind of uses comedy to talk about.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on his answer about raising the awareness. Definitely awareness and education. There's a lot of states, I want to say at least 10 or so in Virginia this year, is actually going to be lowering the state flags, the flags in the state capitals, to half mast. There is a bill in place right now, House Resolution 349, to make it national, so all federal buildings. But yeah, so I guess, it's like, okay, we raise awareness, in a lot of places like Atlanta, they're just having vigils where they light teacups. I think it's like 3,000 teacups, and they're actually seeing members of law enforcement lighting candles represent, with a name to it. We're not statistics, kind of like we're not our diagnosis, or we're not our, so it's kind of putting a face to the numbers, so kind of connecting the mind and the heart, I think, and educating people that overdoses are preventable. There's Narcan out there, and letting people know that, a lot of the analogs, fentanyl, that are on the street, one dose of Narcan isn't enough sometimes. And also, it's not enough just to revive somebody. They need immediate medical attention, because that'll wear off an average of an hour and they will overdose. So purple, I'm wearing my purple today. A lot of states are shining blue lights. But yeah, so I was able to help with a proclamation in Virginia the past 2 years, working with Northam's office to make a proclamation of recognizing National Overdose Awareness Day. And the ultimate goal is to, with the flags flown at half mast, but, really letting people educating them and reducing the stigma. Stigma is such a huge killer. You know, we don't ridicule any other disease. Yeah, I think it's, to me, mental health and substance use disorder go hand in hand, at least from someone with substance use disorder. I know there's 9 out of 10 times a mental health component, and, you know, we're all fighting to reduce the stigma. And I think talking about it is a big thing, you know, shining the light into the, you know, into the darkness. And, you know, we're only as sick as our secrets. That's may piggyback into what you were going to ask.
Yeah.
Ties into why I, you know, why comedy's been important for me in my recovery. But I just wanted to piggyback on what he said and share a little bit more about that. And if, yeah, just a quick call to action. People are wondering, what can I do? You could call your local representative, either thank them if they're doing it, if not, encourage them to do it. Yeah, you can Google HR 349. I'm sure there's people in that committee in the House that would like to hear from you, or we'll listen to you.
I can't thank you enough for your advocacy and being a part of the change. And I'm going to be sure that I give some information about what you mentioned. So for people who are watching, if they do want to learn more about that bill and to be involved, that we can do that. I'm just so inspired because we know that advocacy works and it matters, and lawmakers need to see us and people with lived experience. And so, yeah, I do want to pause for a moment and say that, you know, I did a little bit of research on the International Overdose Awareness Day. There's an organization called the Heron Project, and according to their numbers, 65,000 people overdose or die by overdose. And so that's probably worldwide. And we know a big contribution to those deaths are the opioid epidemic that we're experiencing. And that's what Ty was speaking of, that has really pushed a lot of overdoses. There are opportunities for education, such as you were mentioning. Revive is a training that's offered in the community that teaches people how to use Narcan and to assist someone if they are experiencing an overdose. And so I'll put some information in the show notes and give it to the producers to get people engaged in that. Also, purple is the color for International Overdose Awareness Day. And that's why Ty is wearing his purple hat. And but yeah, we need to make our voices heard. And so thank you so much for giving insight on how people can have a call to action about this. So thank you so much.
Not only is Ty wearing his purple hat, but he's wearing it really well.
You are wrong.
I wish I could look that good in a hat like that.
You are Tyler's friend. Oh, wow.
Love it.
Oh, wow.
It's the first time I've worn it in public, so.
Hey, listen, Isaac and I are encouraging you to wear it more often. So what do you all mind sharing some of your experience getting to a place of recovery and maybe challenges that you faced and things like that? Isaac, you recently celebrated 5 years of sobriety. Congratulations, that's so amazing. So if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about your experience and why you feel compelled to share your story, because, you know, not everyone has that feeling or desire to share their story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. August 15th was.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is that me?
Is that me?
No, it's not you. That was me. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say, just hold on. Let me answer this real quick. I'm waiting on like the person to come replace my windshield. I got a crack in it. Hey, Zoom happens, right? I mean, we're in this virtual environment here. Someone's gonna get muted. I'm surprised I'm not talking on mute.
I put on Do Not Disturb.
Thank you for not making me feel bad about being so unprofessional.
No, you're doing great.
If my phone falls, I have a car battery on me.
You saw just a bit of my daughter's like hair popping up here in the corner, so it's totally fine. You may hear my dogs barking here in a second. This is the world we live in now, right? So
you're right. You guys are so awesome. Okay, we might, give it to them raw, but in the event that the producers at This Is My Brave want to cut my little faux pas there, wanted to ask again, Isaac, if you would mind sharing some of your experience to sobriety. You recently celebrated 5 years of sobriety, which is huge. And then why you want to share your story, why you share your
Yeah,
story.
sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So August 15th actually was my 5-year date. So I was super excited. It's a little bit surreal. I honestly, when I kind of embarked on this and just kind of made this decision and really worked at it, I didn't know if I'd ever get to this point. And mine specifically is with alcohol. And so like alcoholism runs really rampant in my family, especially on my dad's side. I come from my dad still does. He still drinks really heavily, and it's a challenge. But it kind of goes beyond that, even to his parents and his grandparents, and it just kind of runs through our family quite a bit. And I've seen how it can really deteriorate and destroy family units and cause a lot of issues. And so I made a decision 5 years ago, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna nip this in the bud. And I was noticing that I was kind of going down the same path. I was doing a lot of heavy drinking. I was drinking a lot, often, times I probably shouldn't have been. And I started to notice I just didn't like the person I was becoming. Like I didn't like the person I was when I was drinking. And I've gone through a lot of rough kind of patches in my own relationship, and there were some real significant challenges, and I almost lost my marriage. And I just decided that I didn't want to do this anymore. And so I made the decision one day. I was like, all right, that's it, that's done. And I'll tell you what, one of the biggest, weirdest things about it is, like, especially when it comes to alcohol, is I think it's one of the only things that, like, you have to explain why you don't do it to folks. And it's really weird. It's like, why? It's like, you're not drinking? Why not? It's like, well, because I just don't want to. And I have a problem. So it's kind of, there's these expectations on us, I think, sometimes to do that, to engage in those activities. And I kind of crack up about it. It's would I need to explain to somebody why I don't feel depressed, or
Right.
why I don't engage in other things? And it's just weird. But it's been really fun, and it's been an opportunity. I think I try to use those opportunities to have conversations with folks about alcoholism and what it is. I mean, it's a serious illness. It's a serious disease. It's actually something that you can die from withdrawal. Like, when you stop, like, once your body becomes dependent, if you stop drinking, you can die. Like, it's a deadly withdrawal process. And it's one of the things that's one of the hardest to kind of I don't want to say it's one of the hardest, but it can be really challenging for folks to overcome, because I mean, you go to the grocery store, it's there, at least in my county. You can go to any grocery store, get liquor, get alcohol, gas stations, commercials. It's constantly in your face. But it can be really hard for folks that are trying to overcome that addiction. And so I think the more we talk about it, and the more I share about my own struggles, my own challenges, that letting folks know that they're not alone, and it can be done. And I don't like to say that I'm recovered. I feel like I'm always kind of in this process of recovery with that. I also live with depression, and I know that, as Ty said, those go hand in hand. Substance use and mental illness. And so just kind of more prone to it. So having those conversations, letting folks know they're not alone, letting folks know that they can beat it, they can get through it, but also being realistic about that. I think that's one of the big challenges too, and that's why I tried to share this story. Is I tell people the recovery kind of sucks sometimes. Like, it's not easy, right? But hope and having better tomorrows, that makes it worth it. So it's going to be hard. You're going to have hard days, and just getting connected with folks, whether that's things like AA or NA, or just your own kind of informal support groups. That's been kind of the big difference. I've got a buddy that I actually work with at the warming centers. He volunteers with me. He's 6 years, and it's about almost the same day. And so I'm always like, oh man, you're one up on me. So we kind of support each other, and he'll call me up, hey, I'm going to the meeting, you want to go? I'm like, no, not really my cup of tea, but maybe next time. But we talk about it, and we joke about it, and we kind of try to encourage each other. And it's been a fun story. So been a fun time. I've really enjoyed the recovery process, aside from how hard it was at first, but now it feels like it's just kind of like I'm just maintaining. It's kind of cool.
Thank you so much for that. Like, just for you being brave enough to share that, and congratulations on 5 years of sobriety.
Thanks.
Ty, would you feel comfortable sharing a little bit of your experience and why you advocate the way that you do after what you've gone through?
Sure. What I do, I guess, and why I do it. relates to why I do it. I feel my little, lane, get in where you fit in, to be of service, and it kind of follows the arc of my my life in entertainment. It kind of came together. The roads met. I'd always studied comedy and been like a comedy nerd and done comedy in numerous forms other than stand-up, other than basically being myself, being honest, being truthful, just being me on stage, kind of, I guess, could speak to not feeling like I was enough. But I think it was really just, I was, as a person pre-recovery, everything was very much a secret. That was kind of the game. Not getting arrested and losing jobs and stuff. So I, what I get to do now, basically, help people in and seeking recovery, find resilience through the healing power of laughter and mindfulness practices. That's the goal in my speaking and in my comedy. What I feel like I can impart. So I was going to meetings. I was on probation. I was afraid to share. I thought anything I would say would be used against me. I didn't trust anybody. I kept hearing, "Oh, you need to share, da 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 da." Well, occasionally I'd hear people share. People say, I heard you share my story, or I heard things that I was relating to, and I got a little bit of relief from that. I'm not alone. I'm not, whatever. This terminal victim, but and so eventually, I had some slips in my early recovery. Basically, I started drinking, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm an alcoholic as well. But I had some other slips too, and it could just, recovery, as we know, as peer specialists and in our field, all of us, that recovery is not linear,
Right.
and particularly with mental health, I think. But setbacks, I think, is maybe the less stigmatizing term people use now. But basically, something clicked about 6 months into my recovery. It's like, oh, I used to be a fan of stand-up, and then I was like, oh, I need to do stand-up. Because I was writing things down. I was at a place of willingness to get help, to ask for help by being there at a meeting, mutual aid support group. And, I identify with this character defect, or whatever you want to call it, shortcoming, thing I needed to work on. And then this instinct of humor kicked in, to kind of be able to laugh at myself. So my big takeaway, I feel like, is like, I take my recovery seriously, but I don't take myself too seriously. I heard, or my first meeting, you may have to bleep this, spoiler alert, but I was very much like uncomfortable. I had to ask my mom for a ride. It was awkward, to say the least. But someone sensing my uncomfortableness, and they try to break the ice after the meeting, and we're like, man, before I got in recovery, I was a flaming asshole. Now I got a sponsor. I go to meetings and I work the steps. Now I'm just an asshole. And it just felt like I could breathe again. I'd forgotten how to laugh. And so I feel that comedy is the gift that recovery first gave back to me. And I was able to, sorry if you have to bleep that, y'all. But
Keep it real.
So I was able to actually I was able to take stand-up classes even on probation, because my background was theater, and it was related to my job. But I was able to get up on stage and actually start to share, actually start to practice some honesty, shine some light into the darkness that I was in. And then I could always be like, I'm just kidding. But I just feel like there's a real power. And as you know, and teach so well and do so well, that, storytelling saves lives. And I think the best comedians are storytellers, and to me they go hand in hand. Yeah, so I think that it's a great way to, you know, to be able to start practicing some honesty, to start be able to, I think if you can mock it, you can manage it, builds resilience, you know. Like life's hard in recovery, out of recovery, you know, there's challenges, but if we can, you know, at least in hindsight, be able to laugh and not to minimalize it, because I know, you know, some people are like, how can you joke about something so serious? But to me, it's, you know, it helps me maintain honesty. It shows that I'm okay. I made it through this. I'm able to, it's not so much intellectualized like that, but if I had to look at it like that, like, it's a reminder for me. I put it out there to the world. If I get on stage, you're going to know that I'm in recovery, and, you know, hopefully not, you know, offer me acid after the show.
Oh, Ty. Honestly,
For example,
laughter is so therapeutic, and it's a release. And comedy is such an amazing gift. And we see all type of comics talk about really hard issues, and because they can laugh about it, it like lets people relax, you know, and maybe have a conversation or think about it in a different light. And so I think that's a beautiful, amazing gift that you have, and both of you. I just really appreciate your bravery in telling your story and then being an advocate in your area. So I want to wrap, but I also want to let people know how they can support and engage in International Overdose Awareness Day. You guys can chime in if you know other ways. You can wear a purple ribbon in support. You can participate in an International Overdose Awareness Day event or make a donation to a charity that supports recovery. There are a lot of communities that hold candlelight vigils in honor of those who have passed due to overdose. You can host one. You can also just start conversations with someone who you know has lost a loved one, offer support, or someone who's in recovery. We know that conversations matter, stories matter. So for you all, what are some ways you would maybe, you know, suggest people get involved and support International Overdose Awareness Day?
You can inform yourself by going to shatterproof.org. There's also another organization, NAMA, and you know, they speak to overdose, but also a testament to medical assisted treatment, which does have a lot of stigma itself. And like I said before, I believe stigma is a killer. So, you know, it's not a miracle elixir, but it allows you to be in a place where then hopefully you can do some work on yourself and fix some underlying issues, address them, and be mindful of them. So yeah, just, you know, kind of like anything, like, it's like some people say, like, silent racism is as bad as racism. If, you know, if you hear someone using stigmatizing language, just, you know, you can point, you know, those are people, not statistics. And, you know, we educate each other. You can get Google free Narcan trainings in your state. You know, petition your local government and state government. There's groups like the Recovery Advocacy Project you might want to look into, and finding different calls of actions in your state. But yeah, call your local representatives. See if they're flying the flag at half mast. If they are, thank them. If they aren't, tell them why, ask them why not. And yeah, check out that House Resolution 349, I believe it was, and call your representatives. If there's several people sponsoring the bill, it's been sent to Biden. So call up the president.
Hey. No, you're very right. Thank you so much for offering how people can participate in advocacy. And for people who may be watching right now who are maybe at a different point in their recovery, or they're struggling, what spark of hope would you give to them right now? And I'll go to Isaac and then we'll wrap with Ty.
Well, I mean, if people are living and struggling right now, it's like, you know, tomorrow can be better. Recovery can happen, and it can happen at any point. And, you know, as Ty's mentioned, as well as myself, is it could be challenging. I don't want to lie to you and say that's going to be just a super easy cakewalk and rainbows and flowers. But it's going to be hard, but I promise you it could be worth it. And just making sure that you just kind of stay the course and get your supports. Take a mental health first aid course. I mean, one of the great things I love about the course itself is it not only does it teach you how to help others, but it teaches you how to help yourself as well. And it gives you some really good insight. And just I feel like it just makes you an overall better person. So just, and I appreciate, again, like Ty said, just a call to action. It's more than just kind of awareness. It's more like, what are we going to do? And so I would just encourage folks to do something, right? It doesn't help us out. Like, let's see what we can do to change this and make this better for folks that are living with these challenges.
And sometimes I know that I can't do mental health recovery alone. Community matters. I'm connected to support groups. I reach out to people, I talk. So sometimes just having a conversation, checking in on your friend, and then getting connected to a support community. We've talked about Narcotics Anonymous, Alcohol's Anonymous, Al-Anon for family members with loved ones who are struggling, and the help is out there, and everyone deserves a shot at recovery. Ty, did you want to, give your lasting thoughts on what would you say to someone right now who maybe is struggling or, reaching for recovery and not quite there yet?
Yeah. And thanks for doing this, by the way. This is really awesome and an honor to be on the show on BraveTV. I would try to encourage people. Well, first and foremost, I think if we're talking about substance use and I think for it to really stick, I don't want to make any broad brush strokes, but I can just speak from my experience. I had to really want it first. I couldn't do it for somebody else. And whatever it takes, if you need to use it, I'm also doing this for X, Y, and Z. But I think it's important that you really need to want it. And don't, if you have a problem, don't take opportunities for granted where you have like a moment of clarity, like, hey, I need some help, ask for it, because that window doesn't always stay open of opportunity. I would encourage people for mental health and NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. We love them. 12 steps. There's many pathways to recovery. Don't just feel like there's, you have one option. And even within, like, say, one of the anonymous groups, there's some that are for atheists, you know what I mean? Like, if you look around, especially on Zoom, there's refuge recovery, which is a Buddhist approach using the Four Noble Truths. Oh, I love that. Like, meditation's been a cornerstone of my recovery. Smart recovery, evidence-based, co-facilitated by peers. Find something where you feel comfortable and start to trust. But my first sponsor used to always say, "You used to trust that dope man when he said, yeah, the good stuff,
Sure.
like, why wouldn't I trust someone who wants to help me? And if not, if I stay closed off, I'll never be able to receive any help, or, someone might burn you, but, you gave them a try, and like Will Rogers once said, yeah, I never met a man I didn't like. He didn't say he liked everybody he met, but how can you not like somebody? It's a definition of prejudice. So I don't want to assume everybody's out to get me and a bad person. And it's a new experience to go, to these support groups where people actually want to help you. Most of them, not everybody. But and I would say give yourself a break. If you're going to be hard on yourself, beat yourself with a feather. And it takes 90 days to create new patterns. So a lot of people suggest going to 90 meetings in 90 days, to really train yourself in new patterns, particularly if you have an addictive personality. Get trained in Narcan. We got to put the oxygen mask on ourselves before we can help someone else. So really, it's a beautiful opportunity to work on yourself and become a better person in recovery from what, fill in the blank. But then, there'll be hopefully like I mentioned, NAMI, I love the connections meetings or certain places people are at, like where you're just in a place where you're like, I want to be of service. And that's a great way to get outside of yourself. They say self-centeredness is the core of addiction. To put it in some terms, to help, just where it's just kind of like, but not to say people with addiction are bad people. And self-centered and fully in a negative way, but you know, it revolves around feeding what you need. And but anyway, so I would encourage people to that, you know, there's great opportunities to stay in the center of your recovery. You know, you can become a peer recovery specialist. You can volunteer with NAMI. You know, I'm a connections facilitator, support group member, like, and I do Inner Own Voices, speaking with them, where we met. I got to
Right, that is where we met. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just say, find your bliss, and I'll shut up. find your joy, find your bliss, and yeah, like that's I just get in where you know, find what makes you happy, and then I think everything else will follow. And again, many pathways to recovery, and not linear. So give yourself a break. That's it.
Thank you so much. And I feel your passion, your dedication. I so appreciate you giving time. It's the most precious thing that we have. And you, both of you, being brave enough to tell your stories to help someone else. So there was a lot of resources in this episode, and so we're going to put them down in the show notes area, and we'll be sure that you get those. Thank you again, Isaac and Ty, for giving us your time and your experiences. My name's Lauren Hope, your new BraveTV host, and I can't wait. Thanks. Until next time, Brave family. See you.
Bye, everybody.